Three, two, one, action. Welcome back to episode 43 of As Seen on Screen. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Gracie, and we're your source for all things entertainment news, reviews, interviews, and more.
You can find us wherever you get your podcasts on Spotify and YouTube. Well, welcome back to another week here on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. We have some really good news this week in music and movies that we're very excited to get into. Starting off with, I think, my personal favorite on this list, The Summer I Turned Pretty. We got the first poster for season three with Belly looking stunning in a lovely yellow gown. We have confirmed that the final season is season three, and it will have a July 2025 release date with Prime Video. We're heading back to Cousins for the last time, and I'm kind of sad.
You know what? I'm very sad that it's ending because, we love a good love triangle. But yeah, the poster looks all the posters were so minimalist, but this one is just very elegant and like you can see the growth that's happened. I know you and I were talking about it before we hopped on the call. A lot of people are questioning if it was a solo poster because she chooses herself in the end. But I just think they're doing like it's the last season. They want solo shots of each character, you know?
Yeah, I feel like we'll get more posters, maybe. Or,
I'm gonna be
like,
highly disappointed if we don't get the boys.
right? Listen, this season, I haven't read the books, but I have friends who read the books. I know what happens at the end of book three. No spoilers here though, so if you don't worry. But all I'm saying is I'm a Conrad girly, and this season
Yeah.
better pull through for us Conrad girlies because Jeremiah girlies had their season last season.
Real. You can keep the delusion in the second season. Yeah, Conrad and her are endgame, so I need everyone to accept that and move on with their days. And if she did end up changing the ending, like a lot of people have been saying, or it's rumored that she has, I will be very upset.
I just can't imagine another scenario other than the ending that I want. Because I'm so set on the ending
She
that I
said,
want.
my way or the highway.
Yeah. No, gosh, you know what? Both of the boys have their flaws. Both and Belly definitely also.
Very true.
And Belly has
Very
her
true.
flaws too. All three of them, nowhere near perfect. But like I keep
That
getting
makes it realistic, though.
exactly, and I keep getting edits on TikTok of like Jeremiah core or Conrad core, and Conrad core is just him sassing everybody for like 2 minutes, and I
I
love
love
it. His sass last season was phenomenal. They need to carry
So
that.
funny. He was a diva last season, not gonna lie. But he also broke my heart. So I was like, man, it's hard to love and hate someone at the same time. But I do like the fact that they've kept it consistent, like marketing wise, with obviously it's called The Summer I Turned Pretty. They always release it during the summer.
Which I totally agree with you. I'm so glad it would not hit nearly as much as it does if it was in
It
like
was
the
in winter.
fall or whatever. It needs to be, it's a summer show and it needs to be in the summer. I
Also, are we getting Reputation Taylor's version for this season? Like, what's happening?
listen, I'd argue that this is for the debut girlies. I'm just saying.
True. What song? Maybe our song. That'd be so
Maybe our
cute.
song. If Belly played guitar, we could have a wonderful teardrops on my guitar scene.
Oh, stop it. Or we could have White Horse too. That's not on debut, but like,
Fearless. But I get what you mean. I
no,
get
like
the
I'm
vibe.
just saying, like, it fits the vibe.
Yeah.
Like, if she could play guitar, I'd want White Horse because, like, it could work for either of the boys. I'm quite aware, Swifties, that it is not on debut. I'm just putting it out there because I like the idea. Hopefully, more Taylor Swift to come with this last season. Maybe she'll make a cameo.
I
Could
keep
you
forgetting.
imagine?
I keep forgetting that we didn't have a season last year. I'm like, it's been 2 summers ago. I can't I last time I think it broke me even more the second season because I was going through a breakup at the time, and then the first few episodes of season two, and I was like sitting there with my because my it's one of those shows where like we got my dad into it for some reason, and so my whole family, my parents, my sister, and I are sitting there watching it, and I'm like trying not to sob, and I'm like, Belly.
In fairness, Jenny Han does do that to you.
Rude,
Sit
whether
this girl in front of
all
a Jenny Han
boys.
movie and
Uh,
she will bawl.
that's my official title now.
You're welcome.
Well, moving on. What's up next, Gracie?
We have the first poster for Celine Song's upcoming film, Materialists. Honestly, it doesn't really say a lot with the poster, but I am excited for this film because it has Dakota Johnson, Chris Evans, and Pedro Pascal. And who doesn't want like three gorgeous people in one movie? Again, probably another love triangle. Here we go. But it will have its theatrical release on June 13th.
I am set for this. It's very much like they filmed in New York City. There's been set photos that paparazzi have taken and released. It's very much giving a New York City rom-com, and I'm so here for it. I would love, like, we need to capture the vibes of How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I know the plot is
Nothing will ever beat that movie.
I know the plot is not that. I'm not saying the plot is that at all. I'm saying I need the vibes. I need the
Yep.
vibes of that movie sucked into here because nothing, there are very few rom-coms that beat a New York City set rom-com. I'm just saying.
I'm just trying to envision like what set was like because you have Dakota Johnson, who's very like monotone and chill. And then you have Chris Evans and Pedro Pascal, who are literally like 7-year-old children trapped in adult bodies. And I mean that in the nicest way. They're just so unhinged. So I'm like, what was that dynamic like for them?
Letterboxd only says at the moment for the synopsis. It says, save the date. A young, ambitious New York City matchmaker finds herself torn between the perfect match and her imperfect ex. Girl, don't do it.
Don't do the
Don't
X.
do it. Don't do
Unless it's
that.
Chris Evans, then maybe.
I'm like,
Or
yeah,
even Pedro
I was like,
Pascal,
it's either
maybe.
Chris Evans or Pedro Pascal. I don't know if I can argue with her logic
Yeah.
on that one, but like, don't do
Like
it.
I get it, but don't do it.
The poster is just so perfect. I love it so much.
Speaking of casting and stuff, I know you're probably gonna have opinions for this one more than I will, but what's next, Nicole?
I'm actually extremely excited for this. David Arquette is returning, has announced to be returning for Scream 7. If you haven't watched Scream 5 or 6, don't listen to me for the next 20 seconds. But when they killed Dewey in Scream 5, I think a part of me broke and it's never been repaired because Dewey was always one of my favorite characters from the Scream universe from the original 1996 film. And when they killed his character, I couldn't. I think that was a big reason why I didn't love Scream 5. And Scream 6 definitely redeemed itself for any Scream fans. I think it's known that Scream 6 was definitely better than Scream 5 with the newer installments. But there was no need to kill Deputy Dewey Riley. There was no need. Then they killed him. But I think it's very interesting to see what they're doing. I mean, we also already know, along with David Arquette, we also know that Matthew Lillard is returning, a character we haven't seen since Scream 1. Again, I mean, if you haven't seen Scream 1, this is just on you at this point. But he was the killer, one of the killers in the first movie. He died in the first movie. We haven't seen him since. I am very intrigued. I mean, last movie, we also saw the return of Skeet Ulrich, and he was back in that movie. So I am very intrigued to see what they're doing with this seventh movie, to see if we're doing something similar. But we have quite a few people coming back that are supposed to be dead. So I'm intrigued. They have my attention for sure.
Maybe it's like a supernatural theme where everybody's just coming back from the dead.
I'm partially getting nervous because it's a known thing on here that sequels we need to get away from the endless stream of sequels, but horror franchises are infamous for having extremely long franchises. So I'm not surprised they're still going with the Scream movies, but because the original Scream is one of my all-time favorite films, I just don't love to see the franchise get continuously you know, continuously going because I just would like it to end on a good note. I really liked Scream 6. Hopefully, I really like Scream 7. You never know. I mean, the cast that is coming back, I was really happy with in Scream 6. So we'll see, time will tell. But I have to say, generally, besides Scream 5, the Scream movies do sequels well. So
I'm just laughing at the part where you were like, if you haven't seen Scream 1, I don't know what you're doing at this point. I'm sitting here like, hey.
okay, but you get a free pass. I know you don't like those movies. Okay, so everyone's hearing this now. When I get home from Australia in June, the first thing I'm doing when I see Gracie is we're watching Scream, the original, the OG Scream.
Okay, we'll do that. Moving away from horror movies, going more into like thriller, comedy. Keegan-Michael Key has officially joined season 5 of Only Murders in the Building. I love this series so much. I'm honestly shocked it's gone for 5 seasons because, as my dad likes to say whenever he sees us watching it, how many murders can happen in a building? But apparently 5 seasons worth. So, I'm not complaining because I love the dynamic and I think that Keegan will be such a good addition to the cast that we already have of this show.
I live for their casting announcements each season. They always have such a fun supporting cast with all the surprise
Real.
guest stars. Um, so I agree with you. I think he is a great addition to the show. I'm excited. They're in production now for season 5, so hopefully we're near in the future of the release date for this season. And it's just such a funny show. It's such a feel-good, like comfort comedy show. I love it. Such an easy watch. Well, back on the horror train for a sec to a movie Gracie actually loves in the horror genre.
I
This is a rare
do.
occurrence. So we already know that there is a Ready or Not sequel coming at us sometime in the future, and they just announced that Kathryn Newton is joining this sequel cast. And I'm very excited for this. Kathryn Newton has proved over and over again that she is so incredible in the horror genre. We had her star in Freaky. We've seen her in Lisa Frankenstein. She was in Abigail last year. I loved her in the horror thriller, slasher franchise. So I'm excited for her to be joining this. She also it looks very similar to Samara Weaving. So I'm
I
like,
know. I'm
maybe
wondering if
they're
she's
like
gonna be a
playing on
kid
it,
or
right?
like sister.
Yeah, like they look very similar with their basically their hair. But they have they look similar. So I'm interested to see if they're playing on that in any way.
Honestly, I'm just excited for this film to come out. I mean, it's known that I don't do horror 90% of the time, but I love this. I think it's such like a good film and it's such an original like story. So, am I slightly worried about it getting a sequel? Yes, but I have faith in them. I think that they wouldn't do it unless it was a solid idea.
Well, what's happening over on Netflix? Because we had a few announcements coming out of the streaming service this week.
Yeah, on a positive note for Netflix, Running Point, which is one of their latest TV shows with Kate Hudson, got renewed for season 2, and it was actually pretty fast for renewal.
Yeah, it's only been out for a few weeks, if that.
I was honestly kind of surprised that they actually listened, but sometimes we win, sometimes we don't.
On the don't note, also on Netflix, they have canceled after season 2, The Recruit. So if you're enjoying Noah Centineo's show, the fun ends after season 2 because they are not continuing the show. And that also had, well, season 2's been out maybe a month, I would say, probably, The Recruit, since
Mhm.
season 2 dropped. So that has been canceled. So any fans of that show, I'm sorry.
I'm kind of surprised by that cancellation, to be honest, because like everything I've heard about it, people loved it and found it like so good.
It
And
seems
then Netflix
very
is like, actually, we're
positive.
canceling it.
It's the Netflix curse.
Real, I'm still pissed at them for Julie and the Phantoms.
I somehow
Oh,
knew that was gonna come up.
dude. Oh, I have a bone to pick with Netflix for that show, and I'm sure most of the population does too, because I see it on my TikTok all the time.
That and the Society. It's
Right. Another
another great
Kathryn
Kathryn
Newton.
Newton. Yeah, the
Uh,
Society and Julie and the Phantoms. Honestly, I am so curious to know the reason why they canceled Julie and the Phantoms because there was such an uproar about it being canceled, and there still is an uproar. Something tells me there was like a bigger reason it got canceled for some reason because I feel like there has never been a show on that streaming platform that got such a large resistance against the cancellation that I'm
right.
surprised they didn't kind of be like, kidding.
Julie and the Phantoms broke records, not only on the streaming platform, but like the awards it won as well, is something that no Netflix show or like teen show has done yet. So I'm just mind boggled that they would cancel that. Like, what goes into, do they just go, oh, this is going really well, let's cancel it? I'm like, I pressed shuffle on my phone the other day for Spotify. Julie and the Phantoms came up. I was like, Kenny Ortega never misses. I said this last episode. I still stand by it. But anyway, that's my rant about Netflix canceling good shows. So shout out to Julie and the Phantoms and the Society and the OA.
You're like, the list keeps going.
It really does. Every time, I guarantee you by the end of this call, I'll think of like five more that really shouldn't have been canceled, but ended up being canceled anyway.
Well, staying on the music track, Gracie, what else is happening in the music world?
I mean, the Rascal Flatts are putting out a new album. I mean, it's not really a new album because it's titled Life is a Highway Refueled Duets. So it's basically a bunch of their hit songs with people who are duetting them. So I'm excited for it. Don't get me wrong. I'm always here for the Rascal Flatts music. So it includes duets with the Jonas Brothers, Backstreet Boys, Jordan Davis, Kelly Clarkson, and more. So how are you feeling, Nicole? I know you're also a country girly.
I agree with you on that. I'm always here for Rascal Flatts music. I grew up listening to Rascal Flatts because my parents, they loved their music. So I definitely grew up on the Me and My Gang album specifically.
Yep.
I honestly, I was listening to it the other day. My sad country playlist really has a lot of the songs. Like What Hurts the Most is always on there. And that music, my mom and I somehow always end up talking about that music video for some reason. It's such a sad music video.
My Wish, which is also on the Duets album. Like, damn, I'm gonna start crying.
I'm actually so excited to see what they do with that with the duet because I love that song. It's one of my favorites. No, I'm very excited to see what the duets sound like for this album. Like Gracie and I have been saying, there's so many good songs that both her and I grew up with. So I'm excited to see what they refuel it with for this. It'll be out June 6th.
Another album announcement. It wasn't really a surprise to anyone, more like long awaited. Ariana Grande has announced Eternal Sunshine Deluxe Edition, which is out on March 28th. As far as we know right now, there's two different variations of the cover art. There's the one that she changed her Brighter Days Instagram to, and then there's the one that she posted today where she's kind of like levitating, which I love because I've already seen, that SpongeBob meme where he has the headphones in and he's like levitating. Someone cropped her into that, and I was laughing when I saw it.
I
But
love that.
totally besides the point. Love Eternal Sunshine. Can't wait to hear.
I've been loving watching everyone speculate on TikTok of what was gonna come. Was it like totally a new album? Was it the deluxe version? I
Was
love
it a tour?
Yeah, I love when everyone's like, wait, it's like how Swifties, they're like pick out little details and everything. Arianators, when they're like picking out all the Easter eggs and like the promo videos or like the little pictures and everyone's like, oh wait, it must be this. I think it's always really funny to follow that and then to ultimately see what it ends up being.
And you can tell that this is a project she's really proud of, like musically. Because, sometimes artists make records because they have to, or like they have to hit the certain quota. But this is something that you can tell she's like really passionate about and that she's felt very like attached to.
Well, moving on in the show to our watch of the week. Gracie, what have you been watching this week?
Okay, it is long overdue, but I finally finished Only Murders in the Building season 4. It did come out a while ago, and I did start it a while ago, but I never finished it because I watched it with my sister and my mom, so it had to be a time when we were all together. This show never ceases to amaze me and just like keep me on the top of my feet. You're always guessing who the murderer is, how it happened, why it happened, but I felt like this season especially they were smart with the fact that they acknowledged the plot holes from previous seasons and kind of brought them back to make you question even more. So going into season 5, obviously there's a new murder in the building, which is quite unfortunate. I won't say who it is because I'm still kind of upset about it. But yeah, it's got me questioning a lot. I really have no clue who it is going into next season, which I'm not supposed to. But there's definitely already a few suspects, and It's crazy to think that they like think that far ahead to bring back stuff from like season one into season five. Y'all are masterminds. But yeah, I just love the entire cast. I think Selena Gomez, Martin Short, and Steve Martin are so talented and they're such a good trio. Like season one, everyone was kind of like, this is weird, but okay. And then they ended up being like the most iconic trio ever. And I hope they all just spend time together. I'm excited for her wedding, totally off topic, but I'm excited for Selena Gomez's wedding because really want Steve Martin and Martin Short to be a part of it. So, yeah, Only Murders in the Building was fantastic. So, if you haven't watched it, check it out. Nicole, what was your watch of the week?
My watch of the week, I'm gonna crop in a edit video I'm gonna film tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to see Mickey 17 in the theaters. So I want to give you my review of that this week. So let's go to the video of future me talking about it. Hey everyone, as promised, I am back post Mickey 17 screening. I went and saw the film last night here and I enjoyed it. I really thought they did a great job. And everyone's right with what they're saying is what you think it is based on if you see the trailer, any promotion. It's basically exactly what you're bargaining for. You know exactly what you're getting with this movie, which is something I really enjoyed about it because it had everything I was hoping. It had action, it had lots of comedy, it had some gory scenes. It was also very true and kind of scary, honestly, how true to the times this movie is and some things that it says about the state of the world in the film can also be translated a little bit to what we see in the world right now, especially with some power hierarchies. So I thought that was really interesting how that happened to just line up like that. I loved all of the cast in this movie. Robert Pattinson, Naomi Ackie, Toni Collette, Mark Ruffalo, all fabulous. They all did such a fabulous job. Every single line they delivered, I think I put this in my letterbox review, perfectly delivered. Toni Collette and Mark Ruffalo, you're supposed to hate them. I hated them. Mark Ruffalo did this thing, a mannerism the whole time with his mouth. It's so incredibly well done. Their performances were great. Those two, Toni Collette and Mark Ruffalo's characters, were our husband and wife in the movie. So they stick together like glue, and they have that like very cringy couple dynamic going on about them, and Mark Ruffalo's character is supposed to be this political figure who happened to lose some of his past races, so now he decided to make his own society up in space. And that's where Robert Patterson comes in. So if you haven't heard anything about Mickey 17, basically the film is title character Mickey's played by Robert Patterson. His job is to basically die for a living. They have created this technology that allows them to reprint him every time he dies. So when he started, they uploaded his memory to this memory bank, and then they test him on all these types of things as they're going up into space. They test a bunch of different medicines on them. The science department mainly works with him. Once they get to space, they kind of send him out first and see what happens when he takes his spacesuit off and figure out a vaccine to develop for everyone else so everyone can go outside without a spacesuit on. So he dies, as you guessed it with the title, 17 times. And then the bulk of the film is with Mickey 17 and the dangers of what can happen with this experimental technology. It goes slightly wrong for them, and I won't spoil it for you. So, a lot of it is about them trying to figure out what to do when it is now putting Mickey and the rest of the Mickey's life in danger past 17. Naomi Ackie is fabulous. I love her. This character very much reminded me of her character in Blink Twice in the sense that she was very headstrong and she was kind of ahead of the curve almost in a way of different things. It's hard to explain without telling you too much about the movie, but her character is very independent and a very naturally strong leader. So I love those about her characters. She portrays them very well. So if you're looking for a fun, action-packed, comedic, somewhat gory. It's not horribly gory, but there's a little bit of gore for sure. And to see some horrendous, but so well done mannerisms from Mark Ruffalo, you should check out Mickey 17, which is in theaters now.
Next up on our weeklies, what was your song of the week, Nicole?
I'm doing a bit of a throwback this week, staying in the country realm as I do. It's what I do best.
That's
But
her safe realm.
it's my home. It's my little safe huddle. I was listening to the Zac Brown band song "Goodbye in Her Eyes" a lot this week. Such a banger. I don't really know how, I think it was just in a random playlist I was listening to, and then it came on, and I was like, oh my God, I haven't heard this song in ages. And then it has been on repeat since then. So that has definitely been my song of the week. I love Zac Brown Band. They just bangers, bangers after bangers they have. I love listening to their music. Again, it's more music that I grew up on. My parents were always listening to, so I just know it because that was my childhood. So that was that, and I love it. So, what was your song of the week, Gracie?
I'm so glad you asked. I completely forgot to say this one last week because I was so caught up with Megan Trainor, as I am most days. Damiano David. He is so iconic. Like, I've said one of his songs before, obviously, Born with a Broken Heart. Obsessed. I made you listen to it too. But he just released a new single called Next Summer, and
Ooh.
this man does not miss. Like, I love it. I'm obsessed with it. It's more of like a sad song, but it's still happy enough that I can sing it without crying. The lyricism and the overall like melody is just one that gets stuck in your brain, and I think he's so talented. Obviously, with his earlier band, Mazikeen, yes, I know I'm probably saying that wrong. I apologize in advance. He's made bangers, and like everybody knew this. But his solo career is one that I am so invested in right now, and I can't wait to see what he does next. And I really want him to go on tour, but I also don't because I can't afford ticket prices with the way Ticketmaster is working. So,
I love it. I love it. So you go listen to those wherever you get your music, Spotify, Apple Music. I'm not judging if you use Apple Music, but I'm slightly judging. Spotify is where it's at. Moving into our last segment of the show, our upcoming releases, as always, starting it off with today, March 13th. The Parenting is out on Max.
also March 13th, we have Control Freak on Hulu.
Moving over to Netflix, we have Adolescence.
We also have The Wheel of Time Season 3, which is on Prime Video.
And rounding out our March 13th releases, we also have Long Bright River over on Peacock.
On March 14th, we have Dope Thief, which is going to Apple TV Plus.
Then we have a good weekend in the theaters, kicking it off with Black Bag.
Next in theaters, we have Novocaine, which I'm super excited for.
I'm so excited for the early reviews have been great, so I'm thrilled. I'm so excited to see it.
I'm here for the Jack Quaid resurgence or renaissance or whatever it's called. But like, I'm here for it. I've loved him since the Hunger Games. We all remember that, don't we?
Oh my God, yes. Sometimes I forget. Sometimes there's
Did
so
I
many
just
people.
open that memory for you?
You did. You like watched me like grab it out of the back of my head.
Wow. Yeah, no, I always think when someone says Jack Quaid, that's the first thing that comes into my head. And I'm so sorry to Jack Quaid, but like iconic.
There's so many people in the first movie that have now gone on to have careers even outside of film, like different careers in the entertainment industry.
I just thought about it. I was like, imagine going from killing Rue and being like the most hated person to now popping off.
Right? Also in theaters, we have Borderline.
We also have The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie.
Then over on Netflix on the 14th, we have The Electric State, which is the film starring Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt.
Ending out March 14th, we have Opus, which is having a very limited release, so just make sure you check your local theaters. So on March 17th, we have Inside Season 2 on Netflix. And over on Hulu, we have Exhibiting Forgiveness. We also have Good American Family over on Hulu.
I'm so intrigued to see this, and I cannot wait to see my girl Ellen Pompeo in a new project. I'm so hyped.
I keep seeing the tweets where it's like, she finally made it out of the hospital.
And into an arguably much messier situation. So, well, that is everything we have for you today. If you're still with us, thank you so, so much for tuning in and talking all things entertainment with us today. I'm Nicole.
I'm Gracie, and you can watch or listen to us wherever you get your podcasts on Spotify and YouTube.
We will be back to join you next week. We have two special episodes coming your way next week. We won't have an episode like this, but we will have 2 interviews for you coming for the film Odessa and for the CBC series Season 2 of Ghosting. We are so excited to share both conversations with you, so tune in next Thursday and Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for those. We will see you then. Bye!
Bye.